What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the hater, up in this space. And it's Monday night, and I'm outside, which must mean one thing, and that is Raw Review, cuckolds, hater outdoors. Let's get to it. I don't have much to say about this episode overall because it was basically a filler episode. But there were some good things, but there were also a lot of bad things. So let's get started, segment by segment analysis. The show opens up with Liv Morgan, who has pretty much been carrying Monday Night Raw for weeks at this point. She comes out with Dom and Raquel and basically starts saying about how she's the best wrestler in women's wrestling, right? Fair enough, decent point. She gets interrupted by Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair for some reason, right? Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, despite going 50-50 against the likes of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn over the last year, come out with the arrogance of Hulk Hogan. You know, they come out like they're big stars. And it's almost ridiculous because if like the new WWE game came out like tomorrow, Liv would be like a 95 and the two of them would be like 82s. You know what I mean? They've done absolutely nothing this year. Liv Morgan has carried this show. They're not on the same level. Like Bianca Belair is not on the same level as Liv Morgan is this year. Liv Morgan cuts basically, I'm not going to say an excellent promo, but a pretty decent promo. Then Bianca Belair comes out and we have to tolerate her shitty mic skills, which we've had to tolerate for like 8 years now, right? Jade Cargill, on the other hand, is completely done. As far as I'm concerned, she should be released immediately. They completely missed the boat with her, which was something that I never thought would happen. But here we are, the Triple H era, cuckolds. Basically, they come out and Liv Morgan just buries them both completely, right? They do that like, we're cooler than you thing, but it doesn't work because in real life, they're not cooler than Liv Morgan, so it doesn't work in kayfabe either, you know? That's basically what happened. Bianca Belair does this little thing, she's like, you know here, sweetheart, like she starts talking down to her, and Liv Morgan's basically like, look, you're a manufactured tag team, and the only thing keeping you together is the tag team titles. Basically insinuating that once they drop the titles, Jade Cargill can go and do something with her career, well, because Bianca Belair is holding her back, or vice versa. It doesn't matter which way you see it, right? The point is, they're not actual friends. They're not a real tag team. It's just two girls that have nothing to do with their careers who they put in a tag team. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that works. Like in the case, for example, of Robert Roode and James Storm when we had Beer Money. You know, it was two guys who had nothing to do with their careers at that time. And they came together and came up with a great tag team. But this is not that. This is a generic tag team. And Liv Morgan points this out, comparing them to her and Raquel, who are actual friends, right? Whose alliance is not based on a mutual goal. They're just friends, right? And then Bianca Belair gets all pissed off at this, even though it's the truth. And basically, Liv Morgan says, what are you going to do, hit me? So she hits Liv Morgan. Adam Pearce, meanwhile, is already in the ring. He says, everyone get out. Women's Battle Royal for the #1 contendership, right? Basically, a bunch of women come out, and we'll just skip to the last four. It's Bianca, it's Jade, it's Lyra Valkyria, and it's Io Sky. Basically, the whole point here is that Bianca and Jade are superior. So they pick up the other opponents and they do their finishers simultaneously, one on one and one on the other, right? Then they try to throw them out, and despite just getting hit by a finisher, both of them just hold on to the ropes. So there was no point in doing the finisher at all. While, I think it's Lyra Valkyria, I don't know which one, I don't care to be honest, she's hanging out by the apron. Raquel grabs Bianca's ponytail, which I thought was interesting, right? Because it's like basically a prop, you know? She used it as a weapon, and that's kind of clever. So why not use it against her? She starts pulling the ponytail. I'm surprised it didn't come off of like the area where it connects to her real hair, you know? But she was pulling it. Liv Morgan gets up. Meanwhile, Jade Cargill's being an idiot, trying to pull her back. Liv Morgan comes in, throws them both over, basically, right? And then they run away, which means we have to tolerate Lyra Valkyria versus Io Sky. After a boring-ass sequence on the apron, Io Sky hits a suplex, a German suplex, and Lyra Valkyria rolls out of the ring. Io Sky wins as the #1 contender. Nobody gave a flying fuck. That's 30 minutes of the show right there. Next up, we have an Xavier Woods and Kofi segment. Nothing has happened for months now with these two guys, but we're back to where we were. They're still fighting and bickering. While they're talking, they get interrupted by like a Bray Wyatt sound, right? And we see The Miz basically being like kidnapped by Uncle Howdy, right? They show an old clip, they kind of like superimpose it, of The Miz telling the B team, which was Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, that he'll make them stars, right? And basically, Bo Dallas is like, you lied, you're a serpent fork-tongued demon, and you lied to me. You thought you'd make me a star. Like, shut the fuck up. Enough of this shit. The Miz has to, like, sit there and, like, I don't even know how he doesn't stop himself from laughing at how stupidly bad this is. This is like a shitty horror movie at this point, and it's just not believable because Bo Dallas is like a mid-card level jobber who really has never been a mid-carder. He's one of the biggest jobbers of all time. This is laughable. This is just laughable, motherfucks. Like, this is so bad that I don't even know why they still have these guys employed. But nevertheless, they do, so we have to tolerate this bullshit. Immediately afterwards, we get the match of New Day versus the War Raiders, right? Basically, during the match, Joe Tessitore tells us how the War Raiders have changed up their style, even though they do the exact same moves. He talks about how both these guys should have retired 100 times because they've had all these injuries, but they're still here, right? The War Raiders are interesting, you know, as a concept, but now they're overplayed, right? They both look like shit at this point. Like, they just look sloppy. Like, Raymond Rowe, also known as Eric, is just a powerful dude. Like, I really like him, you know what I mean? He has cool moves, and he's a big, strong guy. He looks like a prison Nazi. He looks like a badass, right? But the problem is, it's too late now because they became Vikings for a while, and now I can't take them seriously, and they're still kind of Vikings. You know, the word Viking just appears on their Titantron while they're coming into the ring, and they have the Viking runes and everything. It's like, their gimmick should have been two prisoners, two prison Nazis. That would have been much more compelling. Like, Ray Rowe, he's got, like, the words, like, whatever, like, honor till death or, like, whatever, some bullshit like that on his chest. He just looks like a dude with prison tats. They are intimidating dudes, but instead of making them intimidating dudes, they just have them go and do goofy shit, like cartwheels. Why is Hanson doing a cartwheel? Or spin kicks. He should just be grabbing people and throwing them up in the air and having them land on their head. But anyways, they beat the New Day after some miscommunication from Xavier Woods. Nobody cares at all. You know what I mean? This is all played out. I don't give a flying fuck. Next up, we have like the main segment of the night. We're at the 1 hour mark, right? Sami Zayn comes out, starts speaking in Arabic. You know, you wouldn't know that Sami is an Arab, except for now when it's advantageous to his career. Now, I'm sure some of you were thinking, wait a second, how can Sami Zayn be an Arab? He's white and has red hair. Well, here it is, cucks. Let the hater educate you all once and for all. Arabs are white. What did you think they were, you dumb motherfucks? You thought they were this category of brown that Americans have invented? No, Arabs are Caucasians. They are white. Right? You understand what I'm saying? So it's completely normal for an Arab to look like Sami Zayn. But people in America that have never left America, they think that everyone that's brown is just like different. You know, like you hear people talk about like, you know, even like non-Arabs, like Habib Nurmagomedov, right? I'm like, this guy's white. People are like, he's not white. He's from Chechnya. And I'm like, all right, just go look up what Chechnya is, you dumb motherfucker. But anyways, the point is, Arabs sometimes look like this, so don't be too surprised. But it doesn't change the fact that Sami Zayn is conveniently an Arab, right? It's never really part of his identity, except for now he's wearing like the Afghan scarf because he's in Saudi Arabia, and he's all about being an Arab. He talks in Arabic, but then he pretty much has nothing to say because Jey Uso interrupts him, and you know, this kind of sheds light on the question of why was he there to begin with, right? Did Sami Zayn just come out so that Jey Uso could interrupt him? What if Jey Uso didn't want to interrupt him? What was he going to say? Apparently nothing. But he starts saying, I didn't come here for that. I came here for, and then Jey Uso comes out. He's massively over. Jey Uso says, thanks for helping me out. Are you with us or are you against us? Because it looked like you kicked Roman in the face, right? Which is really stupid because obviously Sami Zayn came to help them. Why would he need to come and kick Roman in the face? Roman was getting his ass beat already as usual. You know what I'm saying? Roman is like one of the worst wrestlers of all time at this point. He's getting his ass beat as he does every week by Solo Sikoa. So why would Sami Zayn come in and kick him in the head? Like, they act like Roman Reigns was beating up everybody and Sami Zayn came and kicked him. No, Roman Reigns was getting his ass handed to him and Sami Zayn came and also kicked him in the head. Everybody can just do their finisher on Roman now. You know what I mean? Jey Uso comes out and they have this, is he family, is he not family thing. This is really dumb and clearly only a moron would be entertained by this because this is the same thing again and again. Right? Don't you see what's happening? Roman Reigns comes out, he's by himself. Then Jimmy Uso joins him, right? Then it's time to get Jey Uso. He doesn't want to join. Eventually he does. Then it's time to get Sami Zayn to join. He doesn't want to join. And eventually he will. It's a complete waste of everybody's time, right? And also, if Roman Reigns cares so much, why isn't he there? You know what I mean? He's the one that got kicked in the face. Why does he have his page boys go on and talk for him, right? I thought they were all equals, but they're obviously not, you know? But they're all jobbers, so nobody cares. Basically, the whole point of the segment is that Sami Zayn has been invited on SmackDown to go and talk things through. Along with the fact that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were on Raw, The brand split is a complete waste of time. Nobody even cares about this anymore. Triple H has completely dropped the ball. It's just a complete disaster. But that's what happens, right? Then we have a backstage segment. We see Seth Rollins dressed like Maleficent from Disney, right? He's just like, this guy gets weirder and weirder every single time, but not in a cool, interesting way. He's just lame. He's just a tool. He comes down and he pretty much puts over Bronson Reed and says, I'll see him again, but that's down the road. This time I want to be champion. So the main event is up next, or they tell us it's up next, but it's not. The main event is going to be fucking Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and someone else. Dominic, Damian, Seth Rollins, and Sheamus. That's right. And Sheamus, fatal four-way, winner becomes number one contender. Before this, we have a pretty good match between Chad Gable and Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee wins after a distraction. He does the Destino, whatever the fuck he calls it, and wins. Dragon Lee is a decent wrestler, but the problem is they keep saying he's the next Rey Mysterio, and we all know that's not true. Rey Mysterio at some point comes out, which begs the question, if you had Rey Mysterio there, why not just have Rey Mysterio wrestle? You know what I mean? Why do we have to tolerate Dragon Lee? Whatever, it is what it is. That happened. Nobody cares at all. Next up, main event time. Before the main event, we get a little segment with Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther basically takes the loss like a champ and says, we need to do better, both you and I, Ludwig, right? But in saying this, we have to tolerate a boring Gunther promo. This guy has no reason to ever be given a mic again. I don't even know how this guy has a job, let alone a microphone. But basically, that's what's going to happen. The match starts, the match ends. The highlight of the match is basically Bronson Reed comes and he just injects himself in the match, which begs the question, why wasn't he even in the match to begin with? Right? He's clearly one of the guys that wants a main event shot. Yeah, he lost to Rollins, but he's been a menace the whole time. I mean, to be fair, he's lost to Rollins and he lost to Braun Strowman. So why isn't Braun Strowman there? Nonetheless, he comes in, destroys everybody, right? He puts Seth Rollins to a table. He does the tsunami on Sheamus and on Damian Priest. Dominic tries to capitalize, which was great. He does the frog splash onto Sheamus, but it's broken up by Damian Priest. A little bit more wrestling happens. Damian Priest hits the South of Heaven and pins him. Gunther comes out, and it's going to be Gunther versus Damian Priest. As far as I'm concerned, because Gunther wrestles so infrequently, the fact that he lost to Cody Rhodes really takes away from his allure, right? Like, I don't care about Gunther anymore because he lost to Cody Rhodes, to be fair, but he lost. It'd be one thing if Gunther wrestled, like, I don't know, every week and he won most of his matches and then he lost one and it's like, oh, whatever. But basically, since he's been champion, he's beaten Sami Zayn and then he's lost to Cody Rhodes. That's his entire title run. And it's been like 3 months, you know? He's 1-1 as a champion. He's a shit champion. So there you have it, cucks. I didn't really enjoy this Raw. It didn't make me want to watch the next Raw. If anything, it could have made me want to watch the next SmackDown because they're going to have the Sami Zayn thing, but I know how it's going to go. And honestly, it's like, what is the point of this feud? You know? What is the point of this feud? They're going to keep wrestling until Roman Reigns wins? Well, eventually he's going to win. It's like in the UFC when you had Israel Adesanya fighting, what's his name? Alex Pereira, I should say. He's fighting Alex Pereira. And like, yeah, eventually Israel Adesanya is going to beat this guy once. You know, like the guy's beaten Izzy's ass like 3 times in a row. They fight the 4th time, eventually Izzy's going to win. Like eventually 2 high-level athletes, the one that sucks is going to beat the one that's good eventually. You know, like once in a while shit happens, right? But yeah, if you keep running the trial 100 times, right? Like what are the odds of you flipping, you know, a coin 10 times and getting 10 heads? Very, very low, right? Very, very low. But it will happen eventually if you do enough 10 trials, right? And of course it'll happen eventually, cucks. So that's the point. It's like, it's the same thing with wrestling nowadays. It's the same thing. It's like, yes, eventually this shit's going to go down the way it went down. Eventually Roman Reigns is going to come out on top. But it's like, we just saw it. Like, we just saw it with our own eyes at Crown Stool. Like, Roman Reigns on his ass, right? As far as I'm concerned, basically Solo pinned him twice. He countered the spear and hit the Samoan spike once, pinned him. He had to be saved by Jay or Jimmy Uso. Then, after the match, without any more interference than necessary, he takes 2 Samoan spikes. He takes the first one, goes down like a bitch. Then Solo picks him up from the hair, does another one, and just pins him clean. So it's like, what is left? What is left to see? Are we just waiting for the moment when Roman Reigns just wins? We know it's gonna happen eventually, cucks. And that's what I gotta say about that up in this bitch.